When my ex-husband's new wife called asking for my recipes, I gave her every single one. The secret ingredient I left out wasn't love, it was accuracy. 1 tablespoon became 1 teaspoon, baking soda became baking powder, and my famous Sunday roast that my children begged for every week? Well, let's say Jessica learned the hard way that 450 degrees isn't the same as 350. The phone rang on a Tuesday morning while I was folding laundry. I almost didn't answer. Unknown number. But something, maybe mother's intuition or just plain curiosity, made me pick up. Linda, this is Jessica, Tom's wife. Tom's wife, not Tom's new wife, not Tom's second wife, just Tom's wife. Like I'd never existed, like our 18 years meant nothing, like the ring I'd worn, the name I'd taken, the children we'd raised, all of it just vapor. Yes, I kept my voice neutral. Switzerland is in a war between my heart and my dignity. I was hoping we could talk. Woman to woman, as if we were equals, as if she hadn't been my daughter's piano teacher while still married to me, as if those late lesson nights weren't what they turned out to be. What about? I asked, though I already knew. The kids had been complaining for weeks. Jessica's cooking was terrible. Her spaghetti was mushy. Her chicken was dry. Her cookies were somehow both burnt and raw. My son Marcus, 15 and brutally honest, had texted me, "Dad ordered pizza again. 3rd time this week." Jessica cried into the garlic bread. "The children," she said, and I heard her swallow. "They're not adjusting well." They were adjusting fine. They didn't like her cooking, or her decorating, or the way she'd painted over the growth chart I'd penciled on the kitchen doorframe, or how she'd thrown away their baby blankets because they were ratty, but mostly the cooking. "They miss your food," she continued. "Tom says you're an amazing cook. The kids talk about your recipes constantly. Your fried chicken, your chocolate chip cookies, that casserole thing with the cornflakes on top, my grandmother's funeral potatoes, the dish I'd made for every family gathering, every potluck, every time someone needed comfort food." The recipe passed down through 4 generations of women who knew that sometimes love looked like butter and sour cream and crispy cornflakes. "I was wondering," Jessica's voice got smaller, "if you'd share some recipes for the kids to help them feel more at home. At home. In the house I'd picked out, in the kitchen I'd designed, with the man I'd divorced. Home." Let me back up. Tom and I didn't have a bitter divorce, not on the surface. We divided things fairly, split custody down the middle, smiled at school events, kept it civil for Marcus and Emma. We were the poster children for mature, adult divorce, the kind where everyone says, if you have to divorce, do it like Tom and Linda. But civil isn't the same as healed. Mature isn't the same as over it. I'd loved Tom since I was 22. Met him at a friend's barbecue, where he spent 3 hours trying to impress me with his grilling skills. Burnt every burger. I married him anyway. Taught him to cook correctly. Built a life measured in recipes and shared meals. Sunday roasts, birthday cakes, anniversary dinners. Then Jessica started teaching Emma piano. She was 28, blonde, perky in that way that made you tired just looking at her. She wore yoga pants to every lesson. Tom started staying home during lessons to listen to Emma's progress. Then he started driving Jessica home when it rained. Then he started working late on piano lesson nights. Then he started not coming home at all. The divorce was final last year. They married 6 months later. Emma was their flower girl. She looked beautiful in the pictures. I know because she showed me tentatively like she was afraid I'd shatter. I didn't. I told her she looked lovely. Then I went home and threw away every spice jar Tom had ever touched. "Linda, are you still there?" Jessica's voice pulled me back. "Yes, I'm here. So, would you share the recipes? I know it's a big ask. I know things are complicated, but I really want the kids to be happy." I thought about Marcus texting me pictures of sad gray meatloaf. Emma is calling to ask why Jessica's pancakes tasted like cardboard. Tom sheepishly asked to pick up if I had any of my soup left over because Emma had a cold and nothing else would do. "For the kids," I said. "I'll email them to you." "Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. You don't know what this means." I did know. I knew exactly what it meant. She was failing where I'd succeeded. She had the man but not the family, the house but not the home, the kitchen but not the knowledge. That evening, I sat at my computer with a glass of wine and 23 years of recipe cards spread across my desk. My mother's handwriting on some, my grandmother's on others, my own notes in the margins. Tom loves extra garlic, or Emma won't eat if too spicy, or Marcus requests for every birthday. I opened a new document, typed recipes for Jessica at the top, then deleted it, typed family recipes, delete, finally settled on just recipes. I started with the fried chicken, my pride and joy, the recipe that had won the county fair 3 years running, the one Tom's mother had begged for and never received. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Buttermilk marinade overnight, I typed truthfully. Then I paused, changed overnight to 1 hour. A small change. Innocent really. Anyone might make that mistake. Season flour with salt, pepper, paprika, garlic powder, and cayenne. All true. But the measurements? Well, I got those confused. 2 tablespoons of salt became 2 teaspoons. The cayenne that should have been a quarter teaspoon turned into a full teaspoon. Tiny adjustments. The temperature was correct, 350 degrees. But the timing? Instead of 15 minutes for pieces, I wrote 25. Just enough to ensure a beautiful golden outside and a questionable inside. Next came the chocolate chip cookies, Emma's favorite. She'd been making them with me since she was 4. Standing on a step stool, sneaking chocolate chips when she thought I wasn't looking. The secret was browning the butter, using both brown and white sugar and slightly underbaking them. For Jessica's version, I kept the butter regular, switched the sugar ratios, and that critical instruction about taking them out when they still looked slightly underdone? I forgot to mention that part. I did note they should be golden brown and fully set. The funeral potatoes were trickier. Hard to mess up something that was essentially cream soup, sour cream, cheese, and potatoes. But I managed. Forgot to mention you need to thaw the frozen hash browns first. Switched cream of chicken soup for cream of mushroom. Tom hated mushrooms. And the cornflakes on top? I said to mix them with the butter before adding, not after. They'd go soggy immediately. With each recipe I felt a little spark of something. Not quite joy, not quite revenge. Something in between, like scratching an itch you're not supposed to touch. My phone buzzed. Emma calling. Hi, sweetheart. Mom, guess what? Jessica says you're sending her your recipes. He's so excited. She went out and bought all new measuring cups and everything. New measuring cups. How nice for her. That's wonderful, honey. Are you really okay with it? Dad said you didn't have to. Tom said I didn't have to. After everything, he was still managing my emotions, still playing the good guy who just happened to fall in love with someone else. Just happened to destroy our family. Just happened to move another woman into our lives like a furniture upgrade. I'm fine, Emma. I want you guys to have good food. You're the best, Mom. I love you. Love you too, baby. After we hung up, I continued with the recipes. The Sunday roast. I added an hour to the cooking time and forgot to mention the meat thermometer. My lasagna. I confused tablespoons and teaspoons for the oregano and salt. The pancakes Emma loved. I switched baking powder for baking soda. And didn't mention you need to let the batter rest. Each mistake was plausible. Each one is deniable. I wasn't giving her poison. I was giving her disappointment, burnt edges, soggy middles, oversalted disasters, underseasoned fails, the kind of mistakes that would make my children say, "This isn't how Mom makes it." It took me 3 hours to type up 15 recipes, 15 opportunities for Jessica to fail in my kitchen, with my family, in my life. I hit send at midnight, added a little note. Hope these help. Cooking is all about practice. Don't worry if they don't turn out perfect the first time, or the second, or the third. XO Linda. The next morning Tom called. Linda, I just wanted to say thank you. Jessica's already at the grocery store. She's planning to make your fried chicken tonight. How nice, I said, pouring my coffee. This means a lot. I know things have been difficult, like a test you didn't study for, like traffic when you're late, not like your husband leaving you for a younger woman, not like rebuilding your entire life at 43, not like watching another woman live your life. It's for the kids, I said. Right, for the kids. He paused. You're a good person, Linda. A good person. With 15 sabotaged recipes sitting in Jessica's inbox. That Friday, Marcus called me, laughing so hard he could barely speak. Mom, you're not going to believe what happened. What's wrong? Jessica's fried chicken. Dad's in the bathroom and won't come out. Emma took one bite and spit it out. It's like crunchy salt with a side of raw chicken. How is that even possible? I put on my concerned voice. Oh no, that's terrible. Maybe she misread the recipe. She had it printed out and everything. Kept saying she followed it exactly. Dad tried to eat it anyway, you know how he is, but even he couldn't. We ordered Chinese food. My fried chicken, the dish that had made Tom propose to me 20 years ago, literally. He'd gotten down on one knee in my apartment after taking the first bite, had been massacred in my own kitchen, and I felt satisfied. She's trying so hard, Mom. I almost feel bad for her. Almost. But not quite. Kids are loyal like that even when they're trying not to be. Give her time, I said. Cooking is hard. The next update came from Emma. She FaceTimed me Sunday morning, whispering from her bedroom. Mom, Jessica's making your pancakes. That's nice, honey. They smell weird. Like chemistry class weird. The baking soda. Too much and it tastes like metal, doesn't rise properly, creates that distinctive ammonia smell that says, Something went very wrong here. Maybe she's trying a variation, I suggested. Emma made a face. She keeps checking the recipe and saying, Linda makes it look so easy. Dad's pretending to be excited, but he already ate cereal when she wasn't looking. I heard Jessica call from downstairs. Breakfast is ready. Gotta go. Love you, Mom. Love you too. Let me know how they taste. 20 minutes later, I got a text, just a photo. The pancakes looked like gray flat discs. Emma had taken a bite out of one and left it on her plate. Marcus had covered his with so much syrup that it was basically pancake soup. Tom was notably absent from the breakfast table photo. Jessica's next attempt was the funeral potatoes for a family dinner with Tom's parents. His mother, Patricia, who'd never liked me until I was gone, suddenly remembered how lovely I'd been once Jessica was in the picture. Tom called me that night. I could hear the exhaustion in his voice. Linda, did you ever have issues with frozen hash browns in the funeral potatoes? Issues? I asked innocently. They were crunchy, like really crunchy. Mom broke a crown. Patricia broke a crown on my funeral potatoes. The irony was so delicious I had to bite my lip to keep from laughing. Oh my goodness. Did Jessica thaw them first? Silence. Long silence. You have to thaw them? Well, yes. Frozen hash browns need to be completely thawed and drained or they'll never cook properly in the oven. I thought everyone knew that. More silence. Mom kept asking why Jessica changed your recipe. Said yours were perfect. That's sweet of Patricia. The woman who'd spent years suggesting I take cooking classes was suddenly defending my culinary skills. Jessica cried after they left. Good, I thought. Then felt guilty for thinking it. Then thought it again anyway. The chocolate chip cookies were following. Emma texted me a photo. They'd spread into one giant, thin, crispy sheet. She'd had to break them apart like bark. They taste like sweet cardboard, Mom. Marcus is using them as frisbees in the backyard. Jessica says baking is harder than it looks, she added. She asked if you'd always been good at it or if it took practice. Always been good at it. Well, it took years. Hundreds of failed attempts. Burnt bottoms and raw centers. Oversalted and undersweetened disasters. But I'd learned, through trial and error, love and patience, because I was building a home, a family, a life, not just trying to replace someone else. Week 3 of what Marcus had started calling Jessica's kitchen nightmares brought the Sunday roast incident. This time I heard about it from my neighbor Carol, who'd run into Tom at the meat counter buying steak. He looked desperate, Carol told me over coffee. Said something about Jessica having a breakdown over a roast, crying that nothing she makes turns out right, that the kids compare everything to your cooking. That must be hard, I said, stirring my coffee. He asked the butcher if meat could be defective. Can you imagine? Blaming the meat. I could imagine Jessica standing in my kitchen, looking at a roast so overcooked it could be used as a doorstop, wondering how she'd failed again. I wonder why my recipes, followed to the letter, produced nothing but disasters. You know, Carol said, studying me over her mug, it's funny how some people just have the touch in the kitchen and others don't. It's all about practice, I said. She smiled. And accurate recipes. Carol knew. Of course she knew. She'd been my taste tester for 20 years. She knew my authentic recipes better than I did. I have no idea what you mean, I said. Of course not. She winked. More coffee. That evening Emma called. Mom, can I come over for dinner tomorrow? Just me. Of course, baby. Everything okay? Yeah, I miss your cooking. Is that mean to say? No, sweetheart. It's not mean. Come over. I'll make your favorites. Really? The real ones. The real ones. As opposed to the disasters Jessica was producing 3 times a week now, according to my children's increasingly frustrated texts. Emma arrived the next night looking thin. Actually thin. Are you eating enough? I asked, hugging her at the door. Jessica packs my lunch, she said. But what? Her sandwiches are weird. Like the proportions are all wrong. Too much mustard or no mayo or the meat's all on one side. And she tried to make your brownies for the bake sale. Emma shuddered. Mom, they were like chocolate rocks. Mrs. Peterson asked if they were a science experiment. I made her favorite, chicken Alfredo with garlic bread and Caesar salad. She ate like she'd been starving, watching her twirl the pasta, close her eyes at the first bite, smile that same smile she'd had since she was 3 years old and discovered pasta existed. It broke something in me. Mom, she said between bites. Why can't Jessica cook? He tries so hard. He has all these cookbooks now. She watches YouTube videos. Dad bought her a KitchenAid mixer. The expensive one. The one he'd never bought me in 18 years of marriage. I'd saved for 3 years to buy my own. Some people struggle with cooking, I said carefully. But she has your recipes. She keeps saying she's following them exactly. Emma looked at me with those eyes that saw too much, understood too much. Mom, did I what? She shook her head. Nothing. Never mind. But I saw the tiny smile she tried to hide. My daughter, my smart, observant daughter, had figured it out, and she wasn't telling. 2 days later, Jessica called again. Linda, I'm sorry to bother you, but I'm desperate. He sounded it, exhausted, defeated. The perky yoga pants piano teacher was replaced by a woman who'd spent 6 weeks failing at the one thing she thought would be easy, replacing me. What's wrong? Everything I make is horrible. I've followed your recipes exactly. I've bought all the same brands you noted. I even bought the same pans, but nothing works. The kids are miserable. Tom's lost 5 pounds. His mother suggested I take cooking classes. Patricia suggested cooking classes. The same suggestion she'd made to me as a newlywed back when I actually needed them. The circle of condescension is complete. I was wondering, Jessica continued, if maybe you could come over, show me in person. Just once, please. Come to my house, my kitchen. Watch the woman who stole my husband fail at the life I'd built. I don't think that's appropriate, I said. Please, Linda. I know I have no right to ask. I know what I did was. She paused. I know what we did was unforgivable, but the kids are suffering. Emma's lost weight. Marcus won't eat at home anymore. And Tom. What about Tom? He mentioned last night that he missed your cooking, in front of me, while I was serving dinner. Of course he did. Tom, master of the thoughtless comment, the casual cruelty he never recognized as cruel. He said I should ask you to teach me. Said you'd understand because you always put the kids first. The manipulation of it, using my love for my children as leverage. But also the truth of it. Emma was getting thin. Marcus was living on fast food. They were suffering for my petty revenge. One time, I said, this Sunday, I'll show you the roast. Thank you. Thank you so much. Sunday arrived gray and drizzling, fitting weather for returning to the house I'd been exiled from. Tom answered the door looking sheepish. Linda, thanks for this. He'd aged in the year since our divorce. More gray in his hair, lines around his eyes. The weight loss Jessica mentioned was evident. His jeans hung loose. Where are the kids? Marcus is at practice. Emma's upstairs. She said she'd come down when the food's ready. When the food's ready, not when I arrive. My daughter is giving me space to be comfortable in my discomfort. Jessica appeared in the kitchen doorway. No yoga pants today. Jeans and a sweatshirt with a stain on the front, probably from her latest cooking disaster. Her blonde hair is in a messy bun. She looked exactly like what she was. A 30-year-old who'd discovered that playing house was more complicated than playing piano. Thank you for coming, she said. My kitchen had changed. The walls were now pale blue instead of the warm yellow I'd painted them. My herb garden windowsill was gone, replaced with decorative succulents. The KitchenAid mixer, red of course, sat prominently on the counter where my grandmother's cookie jar used to be. But the bones were the same. The kitchen I'd designed, the stove I'd selected, the cabinets I'd spent months choosing. Let's start, I said. I'd brought my own roast. Didn't trust her to buy the proper cut. Set it on the counter. 3 pounds of prime beef already at room temperature. First mistake, I said. You're cooking it straight from the fridge, aren't you? She nodded. Meat needs to be room temperature. Otherwise, the outside overcooks before the inside is done. I showed her how to pat it dry. Really dry. How to season it generously, more than seemed reasonable. How to sear it in a screaming hot pan until the smoke alarm threatened to go off. Tom hates when the alarm goes, Jessica said nervously. Tom hates a lot of things, I replied. Doesn't mean they're wrong. He watched me work, silent, kind of like Emma at 4 standing on her step stool. Except Emma had been eager, joyful. Jessica looked scared. The recipe you sent said 450 degrees, she said quietly. I could have lied, could have insisted that's what I'd meant. Instead, I heard myself saying, typo. It's 350. Always 350 for a roast this size. And the time, 20 minutes per pound for medium rare. But you need a meat thermometer. Never trust time alone. I showed her how to make the gravy from the drippings, how to deglaze the pan with wine. The good stuff, not cooking wine, how to whisk in the flour without lumps, how to strain it smoothly. Your recipe didn't mention straining, she said. Didn't it? I kept whisking. Must have forgotten. Emma came down as I was plating. She looked between Jessica and me, uncertain where to stand literally and figuratively. I made it easy for her. Come taste this, I said. Tell me if it needs more salt. He came to me. Tasted, smiled. Perfect, Mom. Jessica watched us, mother and daughter. The unit she'd never be part of, no matter whose house this was. Jessica, you plate yours, I said. Compare them. She'd followed along, cooking her own roast beside mine. Hers wasn't terrible. Slightly overcooked on the edges, the gravy was a bit lumpy but edible. Respectable even. Marcus burst through the door, sweaty from practice. Something smells amazing. He stopped seeing me. Mom, you're here. Just teaching Jessica the roast, I said. Thank God, he said, then caught himself. I mean, It's okay, Jessica said quietly. I know I've been struggling. We sat at my old dining table, now covered with a white tablecloth instead of the bare wood I'd lovingly restored. Tom carved both roasts. Mine fell apart tender and pink. Jessica required more sawing. Try both, I said. Compare. Learn. Emma and Marcus dove into mine first. Tom hesitated, then took from Jessica's platter. A small loyalty, the least he could offer. It's good, he told her. Really good. It wasn't, but it was better than anything she'd made in 6 weeks. How taste Linda's? Marcus said, not catching the undercurrents. Tom took a piece of mine, closed his eyes at the first bite, made that sound. That slight hum of pleasure I'd heard 1,000 times over 18 years. Jessica heard it too. Her face changed, understanding something finally. You'll never be her, Emma said suddenly. Everyone froze. In the kitchen, I mean. You'll never cook like Mom. Emma, Tom warned. It's true though, she continued, 15 and fearless. Mom cooked with love, for us, for years. You can't just follow a recipe and duplicate that. That's enough, I said gently. Jessica's learning. Give her time. But Jessica was crying now, quiet tears rolling down her cheeks. I just wanted them to feel at home, she whispered. This isn't their home, I said. Not cruelly, just factually. It's your home. You need to make your own food, your own traditions, your own family. But they compare. They always will. That's what happens when you build on someone else's foundation. Tom shifted uncomfortably. The truth of it sits heavy between us all. I stood. The real recipes are in my car. I'll get them. I'd brought them that morning. The actual recipes, written on the identical cards my mother had used. The real measurements, the true temperatures, the secret steps. Not because I forgave her. Not because I accepted this, but because my children were hungry. Because Emma was too thin. Because Marcus was eating drive-through garbage. Because punishing Jessica meant punishing them. I handed her the stack. These are correct. The ones I emailed had some errors. She looked at the cards, saw the differences immediately. Her face went pale then red. You sabotaged them. Yes. Why? I could have said, because you fucked my husband while teaching my daughter piano. Because you destroyed my family. Because you're living my life in my house with my husband. Instead I said, because I'm human, and I'm petty, and you hurt me. Tom stood. Linda, that's what? Underhanded, dishonest. I looked at him. Interesting judgment coming from you. Jessica stared at the recipe cards in her hands. My mother's handwriting. My grandmother's notes. 23 years of family history she'd never be part of. No matter how perfectly she followed the instructions. I deserved it, she said finally. The sabotage. I deserved it. Tom started to protest, but she held up her hand. No, I did. I knew what I was doing. With you. During the lessons, I knew Linda existed. I saw her photos on the walls. Met her at the recitals. Smiled at her while I was already imagining her gone. The kids shifted uncomfortably. These weren't conversations children should hear. But they were old enough to know the truth. Had been living with it for a year. But I didn't know, Jessica continued, looking at me now. I didn't know about Sunday roasts and growth charts and which kid likes extra garlic and who hates mushrooms. I didn't know about sick day soup and birthday cake traditions and the way Marcus only eats sandwiches cut diagonally. Thought I was taking a husband. I didn't know I was trying to take a whole life. She set the cards down carefully. I can't use these. Jessica, Tom started. No, I can't build our life on Linda's recipes. The kids are right. It'll never taste the same because it's not the same. It's not their mother cooking for them. It's just me following instructions for a life I didn't live. Marcus, my emotional, impulsive son, suddenly got up and hugged her. Quick and awkward but genuine. Your grilled cheese is good, he said. Like really good. Better than Mom's. I raised an eyebrow. Excuse me. Sorry, Mom, but it's true. She does this thing with 2 kinds of cheese and puts herbs in the butter. And your breakfast smoothies, Emma added quietly. Those are good too. Jessica looked surprised. You never said. Because everything else was so bad, Marcus said with teenage honesty. But those things, those are yours. They're good. Then make those, I said. Stop trying to be me. Be Jessica who makes amazing grilled cheese and smoothies. Build from there. She nodded, wiping her eyes. I'm sorry, Linda, for everything. I know. I didn't say I forgave her. I wasn't there yet. Maybe never would be. But I acknowledged her apology. That was something. I gathered my things. Tom walked me to the door. That was cruel, he said quietly. The recipes. Yes, it was. You're better than that. I turned to face him fully. This man I'd loved for 2 decades, who'd given me 2 beautiful children and 18 mostly good years and 1 year of hell. No, Tom. I'm not better than that. That's what you never understood. I'm not some saint. I'm a woman who loved you completely and you broke me. And when your new wife called asking for help, I broke a little more. So I did something small and petty and mean. Because I'm human. The same human you fell in love with. The same one you fell out of love with. The same one who's still trying to figure out how to exist in this new reality where you love someone else. He looked older in that moment. Tired. I never meant. I know. Nobody ever means to. But we do anyway. I left then. Drove home to my new apartment. Smaller than the house but mine. Really mine. No memories in the walls. No ghosts in the kitchen. The next few weeks were different. Jessica stopped trying to cook my recipes. The kids reported new dishes, some failures, some successes. A Thai curry that was actually incredible. Homemade pizza that became a Friday tradition. A pasta salad that even Tom praised. She was finding her way and creating her own family cookbook. One disaster and triumph at a time. Emma still came to my place twice a week for dinner. Marcus joined when football practice allowed. They told me about their lives, school, friends, Jessica's latest kitchen experiment. I listened, laughed, fed them food that tasted like their childhood. 3 months after the roast lesson, Emma said something that stopped me cold. Jessica's pregnant. I was washing dishes, kept washing. Oh, Dad told us yesterday. Due in January. Baby. A fresh start. A child who'd never know my cooking as Mom's cooking. Who'd grow up with Jessica's grilled cheese, smoothies and Thai curry. Who'd call my kitchen Linda's house instead of home. How do you feel about that? I asked. Weird. But also, okay? Like it doesn't erase us. We were first. We're yours and Dad's. This baby will be theirs. Different recipe, you know? Different recipe. My philosopher daughter. You know what's funny? Emma continued. Jessica asked if you'd share your pregnancy cravings recipes. The weird stuff you ate when you were pregnant with us. Did she now? I told her you ate peanut butter and pickle sandwiches with me. Chocolate chip cookies dipped in ranch with Marcus. She turned green. We laughed. Real laughter. Not bitter or forced. That night, I did something I hadn't done in over a year. I opened the old photo albums. Our wedding. Tom's face when Sarah was born. We'd had Sarah before Emma and Marcus, but lost her to SIDS at 3 months. Something we never talked about anymore. The way grief becomes just another ingredient in a marriage. Folded in so completely you forget it's there until you taste it. Jessica didn't know about Sarah. The kids had never told her. Tom probably hadn't either. It was our loss, our family's private sorrow. The reason I'd held Emma and Marcus so tight. The reason every birthday cake felt like a miracle. The reason I'd poured myself into feeding my family was because I'd learned how quickly you could lose the chance. I found the photo I was looking for. 9 months pregnant with Emma. Covered in flour, laughing at something Tom had said. He'd taken the picture right after I'd admitted to eating an entire batch of cookie dough, raw eggs and all. The baby wants what the baby wants, I'd said. That girl in the photo. She didn't know Tom would leave her. Didn't know Jessica existed. Didn't know that one day she'd sabotage recipes out of spite. She just knew she was happy, pregnant, and loved. I couldn't hate Jessica's pregnancy. I couldn't hate a baby who'd done nothing wrong, who'd grow up calling my children brother and sister, who'd make my kids love in ways they hadn't learned yet. The next morning, I did something that surprised even me. I called Jessica. I heard congratulations are in order. Silence. Then, thank you. I wasn't sure how you'd feel. A baby is always good news, I said, meaning it. Morning sickness? All day sickness. Nothing stays down. Tom's worried. Ginger tea. Real ginger, grated fresh. Add honey. Sip it slowly. And saltines by the bed. Eat 2 before you sit up in the morning. Linda, why are you? Because I'm not who you think I am. I'm not the saint Tom probably described or the villain you might imagine. I'm just a woman who knows about morning sickness. And you're just a woman who needs help. He started crying. These days, everyone is crying. The kids said you had weird cravings. Peanut butter and pickles. Chocolate ranch cookies. Once I ate an entire watermelon with hot sauce. That's disgusting. That's pregnancy. We both laughed. Awkward but real. Can I ask you something? Jessica said. Why did you really send the wrong recipes? Not the surface reason. The real why. I thought about it. The real why. Not the hurt, anger, or betrayal. The reason underneath. Because for 6 weeks you had my life but not my consequences. My kitchen but not my burns. My family but not my losses. My husband but not the years of work it took to build what you were trying to inherit. The recipes were my way of giving you the struggles. The failures I went through to earn the successes. Does that make sense? Actually, yes. Tom said you were always good at everything. Natural cook, natural mother. Tom saw the final product. He missed the first 5 years when I burned everything. When I cried over failed birthday cakes. When Emma had an allergic reaction to something I cooked and we spent the night in the ER. When I gave Marcus food poisoning with undercooked chicken. Twice. I was learning, just like you are now. The difference is, I didn't have someone else's ghost in my kitchen. No, she agreed. You just had Patricia. We both laughed at that. Tom's mother, the universal challenge. Jessica, can I tell you something? Mother to be. Please, stop trying to be me. Stop trying to be perfect. Stop trying to win. Just be. Be the woman who makes killer grilled cheese. Be the stepmom who tried. Be the wife Tom chose for whatever reason. Be the mother your baby needs. But stop trying to be the mother my kids had. That position's been filled. How do I do that? You fail. A lot. You burn things and oversalt things and undercook things. You order pizza when dinner's ruined. You laugh when the smoke alarm goes off. You make new traditions that don't erase old ones. You let the kids teach you their favorites instead of trying to guess. You accept that they'll always love my cooking more, but maybe they'll love your smoothies best. You build your own cookbook, one disaster at a time. She was quiet for a long moment. The baby's due January 15th, Sarah's birthday, the daughter we lost, the date that had been circled in sorrow for 17 years. That's a good date, I said softly. Linda, I know this is too much to ask, but would you consider being part of this baby's life? Not as Tom's ex-wife, not as the kid's stepmom or whatever, just as Linda, who makes good roast and knows about morning sickness. I thought about Sarah, about the nursery we'd painted it yellow because we didn't know what she'd be, about the tiny clothes I'd folded and refold, about the morning I found her still and quiet, and gone, about how Tom and I had held each other in that hospital room, broken in the same way. Yes, I said, I'll be part of the baby's life. Really, but not as anyone's anything, just as Linda. Is that clear? Crystal. We hung up. I sat in my kitchen, my new kitchen with no memories, and felt something shift. Not forgiveness exactly, not friendship, but maybe the beginning of peace. The baby came 2 weeks early, January 3rd. A snowstorm baby. Tom called me at 2 a.m. It's a girl, he said. 7 pounds, 2 ounces. Jessica said to tell you the ginger tea worked. What's her name? Julia. Sarah. They'd given her Sarah as a middle name. I sat down hard on my kitchen floor. Linda, are you there? Why Sarah? Jessica insisted. Said January babies needed strong middle names. Said Sarah was the strongest name she knew. He didn't know. Jessica hadn't told him she knew about our first daughter. She'd kept our secret, given our lost girl's name new life without explaining why. A gift I hadn't expected. Tell her thank you, I said. Come meet her, Julia, when the snow clears. I will. I did. 3 days later I walked into that hospital, the same one where I'd worked for 15 years, where I'd given birth 3 times, where I'd said goodbye once, carrying a small gift bag. Jessica looked exhausted but radiant in that way new mothers do. Tom stood by the window, holding Julia with the terrified tenderness of a father who'd done this before but never enough to feel confident. She's beautiful, I said, and meant it. Julia had Tom's nose, Jessica's mouth, and already a full head of dark hair that would lighten to Jessica's blonde. But I saw Sarah too somehow, in the shape of her eyes, the curve of her fingers. That could be wishful thinking, or all babies carry a little of the ones who came before. I brought something, I said, pulling out a small wooden spoon. It's silly, but is that yours? Jessica asked. My grandmother's. She said every baby should have their own spoon for their first taste of real food, when they're ready. 6 months or so. Linda, I can't accept. It's not for you. It's for Julia. New traditions, remember? Emma and Marcus arrived an hour later. They approached their half-sister cautiously, like she might break or disappear. Emma touched Julia's hand, gasped when the baby gripped her finger. She's so small. You were smaller, I told her. 5 pounds, 11 ounces. Premature by 3 weeks. Scared us to death. You never told me that. You never had a sister before. Change is what stories matter. Marcus took his turn holding Julia, looking uncomfortable but determined. Hey little sister. I'm Marcus. I'll teach you soccer. Mom, Linda, will teach you to cook. Jessica will teach you those smoothies. Dad will teach you. I don't know, what does Dad teach? How to burn burgers, Emma said. How to leave cupboards open, Jessica added. How to snore loud enough to wake the dead, I contributed. Tom looked between the 3 of us, his past, present, and the bridges between. This is weird. Yes, we all said together. But weird wasn't wrong. Weird was just new, unfamiliar, like a recipe you've never tried before. Over the next year I watched Jessica become a mother. She was different with Julia than she'd been when she'd been trying to parent my kids. More confident, less desperate. She didn't have to compete with anyone's ghost for Julia's love. I kept my distance but kept my promise. I was part of Julia's life. I attended her first birthday party, held at a park, neutral territory. I made a cake. Jessica made her killer grilled cheese sandwiches. We didn't try to cook together or pretend we were friends, but we were something. 2 women who'd loved the same man, raised siblings, survived our various betrayals. Emma started college that fall, called me crying the first week because the cafeteria food was an insult to food. I overnight shipped her a care package with all her favorites and my recipe cards. The real ones, I noted. Marcus got his driver's license. First place he drove alone, to my apartment for dinner. Jessica's trying something with tofu, he explained. I'm not that brave. 3 years have passed now since the recipe sabotage. Jessica never brings it up, but sometimes she'll call with a cooking question and say, I'm assuming the real temperature is different from what you might have mentioned before? We can laugh about it now. Sort of. The way you laugh about pain that's scarred over but still aches when it rains. Tom and I rarely speak beyond logistics about the kids, but I saw him at Emma's graduation last month. He looked happy, tired. Julia was in her terrible twos, but happy. He'd found what he was looking for, I guess, even if he'd had to break us to get it. Your speech was beautiful, he said about my toast at Emma's dinner. I had years to practice, I replied. He nodded, understanding finally that everything I'd made look easy had been hard won. So that's my story. Not a tale of dramatic revenge or bitter victory. Just a small, petty thing I did when I was hurting. Wrong? Absolutely. Satisfying? Completely. Human? Entirely. I sabotaged recipes, 15 of them. Made another woman fail in the kitchen that used to be mine, with the family that used to be mine, in the life that used to be mine. I'm not proud of it, but I'm not ashamed either. It was what I needed to do to move from one chapter to the next, to stop being the ghost in someone else's kitchen. Some of you are judging me right now. How could I be so petty? How could I risk my children's nutrition for revenge? How could I sink so low? Others are nodding along, remembering your own small revenges, the passwords you changed, the photos you deleted, the family recipes you'll take to your grave rather than share with the woman who took your place. Here's what I learned. Grief makes us do strange things. So does betrayal. So does watching someone else live the life you built. There's no handbook for being replaced. No recipe for dignity when your husband's new wife calls asking for help winning over your children. But there's no handbook for blending families either. For finding peace. For letting go of anger that feels righteous but tastes bitter. Jessica and I wrote our own cookbook. One disaster, one success, one awkward birthday party at a time. Would I do it again? The recipe sabotage? Honestly, probably. In that moment, with that pain, I'd do the same thing. But I'd also do what came after. Give her the authentic recipes. Show up for the baby. Find a way to coexist that isn't friendship but isn't war. Because here's the thing about recipes. They're not really about food. They're about love. About tradition. About the 100 tiny ways we say, I care about you without words. When I sabotaged those recipes, I was saying, you can't have this love. It's mine. When I gave her the real ones, I was saying, my children deserve love, even if it's not from me. And when Jessica named her daughter Julia Sarah, giving my lost baby's name new life, she was saying, I see you. I see your pain. I honor what came before. We're all just following recipes, really. Some inherited, some stolen, some made up as we go. Some turn out perfect. Some burn. Some need more salt. But we keep cooking, keep trying, keep feeding the people we love. Even when those people are sitting at someone else's table now. Even when the kitchen isn't ours anymore. Even when the best we can do is share the recipe and hope they don't burn it. So tell me, would you have given the authentic recipes? Would you have sabotaged them worse? Would you have refused altogether? Where's the line between protecting yourself and being petty? Between justified anger and unnecessary cruelty? Have you ever been Jessica trying to fill someone else's shoes and failing? Or the Linda watching someone else wear your apron in your kitchen with your family? What recipes are you holding on to? And which ones are you finally ready to share? Leave a comment. Tell me your story. Because I promise you someone else needs to hear it. Someone else is standing in a kitchen that used to be theirs. Or trying to cook in a ghost shadow. Or deciding whether to share the secret ingredient or take it to their grave. We're all just trying to feed our families, even when those families don't look like we planned, even when the recipes get complicated, even when the best ingredient we can add is grace. Thank you for listening, for not judging too harshly, for understanding that sometimes the smallest revenges help us let go of the biggest hurts. And remember, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. But maybe keep the recipe to yourself at least for a little while.